Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the next update for my Shop My Stash, and this is actually going to be the wrap up for this project, at least for now. I might bring it back next year, but I do want to take a little bit of a break from it because I have some other plans for 2022 with how I want to rotate through some parts of my collection. So yeah, I'm going to put this project on a break for now. But again, you might see it later on in 2022. But before I jump into any of the products, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in family. But let's jump into the project. So most of the products that I had in last month was actually eyeshadows. I had a few single eyeshadows and then I had one palette as well as a blush. So it was very eyeshadow heavy this past month, but I actually have used all of the shades at least once. Most of them I used more than once, but there's a couple that I only used once. So let's just jump into the first one, and that is the shade Regal from Sydney Grace. This is what this eyeshadow looks like. It is just like a lavender purple shade. It's a beautiful eyeshadow. The only reason why I haven't used this more than once is because I have other purple shades that I'm panning. Like for example today, I could easily have used this for the purple in my crease, but I'm panning a different one in my Duty Pan My Battleship that I have more, like I'm more inclined to reach for, obviously because that's in the project rather than use my Shop My Stash. And because of that they have overlapped. They're not exactly the same undertone, but they are quite similar. So I'm happy with getting one use out of this, and at least I got to play with it and see that I like the formula, I like the shade, which I do, but this is now going back to my collection. We actually have two more Sydney Grace shades to go through. I rolled in quite a few of them in the last month, but this one is way better of a success than the previous one, and this is the shade Tiara. This is what the eyeshadow looks like now. You can see there's a little bit of use in here, and I've used this eyeshadow 6 times. These eyeshadows are very hard lip pressed. I usually get quite a big dip quite quickly, but you can see there's barely any use in this after 6 uses, but at least I did reach for it, and it was a really nice go-to shade for me for all the cool tone looks that I've done, and this was one that I reached for on an everyday basis for a while, which is why I got 6 uses out of it. So I'm really excited to have gotten a decent amount of uses out of this eyeshadow because it was relatively new to my collection, and I don't think I've even used it before rolling into my Shop My Stash. And I really enjoyed this shade. It's a very nice taupey cool toned that's still a bit more on the wearable side rather than just really silver, if that makes sense. So I really do enjoy this shade, but I'm happy to put this back in my collection now. Then the last eyeshadow that I had from Sydney Grace is the shade Meadow, which is this beautiful green right here. It's not the most wintry shade. I would prefer to reach for this in spring, but I did reach for it once. Similarly to the purple shade Regal, I don't have anything similar to this that I'm panning, but this clashed a lot with the eye looks that I was doing, and because of that I only got one use out of it. But again, it is a shade that I'm more inclined to reach for in spring especially, so I think that's what I'm going to reach for this eyeshadow more. But I do really love the tone of this green. It's like a beautiful, like I don't know, it's a beautiful kind of light grassy green almost. Yeah, it's beautiful. I really like the tone of this eyeshadow. But for now it's going back into my collection. The last single eyeshadow is actually one that I'm wearing on my eyes today. I have this as the shimmer shade on my lid, and that is the shade Teal from Glam Shop. I think it's called Tool with the English translation, but I only have the Polish name on the back. But it's a beautiful duochrome. You can see that it has a green base right there, and then it goes to this purple. But again, I am wearing this on my eyes today. It is the shimmer shade that I have on, basically the only shimmer shade I have on my lid, but I have it on the inner 2/3 of my eyes, so you can see what it looks like there. But it's a beautiful shade. It's a very unique shade. I already have pan on it from before, but I did get an additional 2 uses out of it in this project, and I was happy to reach for it again because I actually haven't reached for this at all since I had pan on it. So it was nice to play around with again, and yeah, it's just such a nice shade because it is such a unique shade, and it was beautiful with those 2 mattes from Sydney Grace, Regal and Meadow, and I feel like those 3 would create an absolutely stunning look in spring, but it wasn't really the tones that I wanted to go for again in winter, so that's why I didn't reach for these shades more. But this one was a bit easier to reach for than the other 2 because it is more of a shimmer shade and I can easily pair it with more cool tones like I have today. The last set of eyeshadows is actually a palette, and this comes from Anastasia, and it is my Sultry palette. It is the perfect palette to roll in this time of year, so I was really excited to pull this out for my Shop My Stash. And yeah, the packaging of this is just stunning, and it really is very Christmassy to me. And yeah, it is just beautiful. The inside is of course very cool tone. I mean, you all probably have seen this before, but again, it is a very seasonally appropriate palette. And I did reach for this eyeshadow palette 4 times in the past month. It's not the like the best. I definitely could have reached for it more, but I I'm still planning a few kind of cool toned crease shades and stuff in my for my palette, and that can interfere with all the crease shades in here and all the deepening up shades, things like that. And the shimmer shades, I was focusing on hitting pan on a specific shimmer shade, which I did hit pan on now. And since then I've been rotating through my shimmers, and this palette was a couple of those. I also reached for Pearl as an Icona highlight a couple of times, but overall I'm happy to reach for this palette again. I didn't really get any massive dips or any new shades or anything, but it's definitely starting to look a bit more used, which I appreciate. Then the final product that I had in my shop stash in the past month is my blush, and this is the Frat Boy blush by The Balm. I only reached for this blush twice, and one of them being today, because I was panning a blush in my yellow project pan, and then I was also trying to hit gold on a couple of blushes in my whole collection project pan before the finale. So this wasn't my priority, but again I have reached for it today, so you can see what it looks like on my cheeks. It is the only blush that I'm wearing, so that is what it looks like. But yeah, to use it at least. But again, it's not the most wintry blush, so I think that's also why I didn't really feel like reaching for this. But again, I hadn't reached for this blush in a long time, so I was happy to pull it into my shop stash and at least get to use it of it. And I actually enjoy this blush way more than I remember enjoying it, so that's really good. And that's also why I've really enjoyed doing this project, because you do find products that are maybe a bit forgotten in your collection, and you also have to be creative with how you use products for specific seasons, because again, this is a blush that I would never have reached for in winter. I would only have pulled this out maybe in spring or summer, because it is more of a brighter kind of peachy blush, or like a pinky peach, I guess. But it definitely works this time of year as well, so it's just something that I've learned, which is also again why I enjoy this project so much. But with that, I'm gonna wrap up my shop my stash. I have really loved doing this project, like I said, but I do want to take a break, because I've realized recently that a lot of the products that I roll into this project is eyeshadows, and I have other plans on how to reach for my eyeshadows, especially my singles, and also a project to rotate for my palettes. So yeah, I think it's time to take a break from this project. I might, like I said, bring it back next year. Maybe then I will bring it back but exclude eyeshadows and just rotate through other products in my collection. But again, we'll have to see what I decide to do. But for now, I'm really excited with all the progress that I got out of the products that were in this project throughout the year, and I'm happy to wrap this up. So if you did enjoy this project, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And also, if you have any other ideas on how I can do a new version of this project next year, let me know. And otherwise, I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!